Hi all, my name is Davis and welcome to my channel where we cover all things tech, and welcome to the Tech Rundown, where we talk about the largest tech stories over the past week. And in this week's edition of Tech Rundown, we're covering stories including the Australian government banning all teenagers from using social media, to a little bit of worrying AI parenting, an unsurprisingly controversial Apple launch, and more. So let's dive right in. And today's show is sponsored by... Do you want the feel of a naked phone but want the peace of mind of using protection? Me too, and the Arc Pulse case has been my perfect solution to that over the past year. And now it's out for the iPhone 16 line. This was by far my favorite phone case that I use on my 15 because not only does it simply not age because it is made of aluminium, so it should last you the entire life of the phone, but it is a case that actually makes your phone more beautiful rather than uglier. For the 16, I've decided to go with the rose bronze color that goes perfectly with the desert titanium phone, but here is how the silver version looks as well. As you can see, the case is absolutely stunning. Okay, I hear what you're saying. You're concerned about drop protection because the phone is so exposed, but unless you are really clumsy and run over your phone with your car all the time, there is no need to be concerned, because I'm the sort of person who likes to drop their phone about 20 times a day, and my old iPhone still looks fine. The aluminium and rubber backing absorbs impacts amazingly so, and the main drop zones, including the corners and the camera bump, are all completely covered. And the best thing, it allows your phone to lie flat on a table. If you check the Arc Pulse case out using my link, you can save 10% off your case, and you can finally enjoy a case that makes your phone better instead of worse. So our first story comes from Australia, which is where I'm from, by the way, and this one has made me a little bit angry because the government has announced plans to introduce a strict legislation that could make it illegal for anyone under the age of 16 to access social media. This policy would apply to major platforms like Facebook, Instagram and TikTok, and would include substantial penalties for platforms that don't comply. It's a bold, but I would say misguided step that Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and Communications Minister Michelle Rowland are spearheading to protect younger users from potential risks online. As you might be able to tell, I'm not exactly a big fan of this piece of legislation because apart from crippling young Australians from being able to be competitive against Americans in a competitive media market, the Labour government have no idea how to enforce it. While the legislation sets a clear minimum age of 16, the government hasn't fully detailed how it expects platforms to verify users' ages. There's been talk of options like biometric scans or even linking with government databases for age verification, but these ideas come with big questions around privacy, technology feasibility, and cost. For now, it's up to each platform to figure out how to enforce the age restrictions they say. And we know that the platforms like Meta will only half-heartedly add these restrictions. What is perhaps even more outrageous, however, is the fact that the coalition opposition party is not only in on it too, but they are actually urging the Labour government to move more quickly, suggesting that they want to pass this legislation within the next 3 weeks. This push comes despite the fact that there's been no federal trial of age verification technology to date. Meanwhile, Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, has expressed willingness to cooperate, although it does admit that current tech limitations may pose a challenge. I think that this story really just shows how out of touch our government is in regards to technology. Our next story is about a rapidly growing industry that is seriously worrying me. AI-powered parenting. As AI continues to weave itself into our lives, it's finally making its way into the parenting world. AI-raised children. Yep, they are finally here. TechCrunch is reporting about a variety of startups that are beginning to pop up, offering parents digital tools powered by AI to help with everyday tasks, from meal planning and educational activities to managing co-parenting arrangements. And while this may seem like a good idea to reduce responsibility of childbearing on busy parents, it really does feel all a little bit dystopian to me. However, as there is money to be made, investors are taking notice too. Venture capital firms like Andreessen Horowitz are backing these startups, betting that AI tools will make parenting smoother and more manageable. Notable examples include Co-Parenter, which is an app designed to help divorced parents communicate and resolve disputes using AI-assisted mediation. And then there is 16's Parenting Guide, an app that offers self-guided courses and live classes on topics like discipline and attachment, helping parents gain confidence. And one of the more unique examples is Grok, a smart toy developed by Curio in collaboration with the artist Grimes. This confusingly has no relation to Elon Musk's Grok AI at all, apparently. Grok aims to stimulate children's creativity and learning through storytelling. While there is obviously great potential here, I'm not the only one concerned, as TechCrunch are reporting that privacy advocates worry about the amount of personal data collected on both parents and children. Additionally, some psychologists and child development experts are wary on AI's potential impact on parent-child relationships. As the market for AI in parenting grows, it will be interesting to see how these tools are embraced and regulated. And this is one case where I am all in on regulation. And now on to Apple news. iOS 18.2 introduces a significant update to the Find My app that's making it easier to track down lost items. Yes, you can finally pass responsibility for your lost luggage onto someone else with the new Share Item Location feature, which allows users to share the location of missing items like an iPhone, your MacBook, or anything tagged with an AirTag with people who are not in your contacts. This is helpful in situations where you've lost your device and want to share its location with a cab driver or an airline employee or something like that. Alongside this, there's also another feature called Share Contact Info, which lets anyone with a compatible device connect to a lost item and see contact details, such as the owner's phone number or email. Previously, Find My only allowed users to share the location of lost items with contacts, but these new tools should hopefully make it easier to recover your lost items, with help from people that you don't know. This is an update that I am definitely quite happy with, as I have lost plenty of devices in the past. Speaking of Apple, iOS 18.1 has finally made RCS work properly. Well, RCS, or Rich Communication Services, which is sort of like the next generation of SMS, came out in iOS 18 after being available on Android devices for years. The idea was that iPhones and Android users could finally experience a more cohesive messaging experience when using the default apps. And that was the dream, but that dream didn't quite become a reality because reactions didn't work properly. And luckily that has been fixed with 18.1. Reactions from iPhone users now display correctly on Android devices, avoiding the confusion of reactions appearing as standalone messages. Working reactions now joins the other RCS features, which includes improved media sharing, typing indicators, and read receipts across devices. And these were features that were largely restricted to iMessage users prior. However, one thing remains the same. Android messages still appear in green bubbles on iPhones. Despite the RCS upgrade, Apple has chosen to maintain the visual distinction between iMessage and RCS, so you can still differentiate between your rich and your poor friends. Next, let's turn to the mysterious world of Bitcoin, where the search for its creator, Satoshi Nakamoto, continues to hit a dead end. Recently, a press event promised a long-awaited revelation of Nakamoto's identity, only to fall a bit flat. Here's what happened. Attendees were charged real money to witness the alleged unveiling of Satoshi. This apparently excited a lot of people. The event organizer, Charles Anderson, charged for seats and promised a massive reveal. But when a man named Stephen Moller came forward claiming to be Nakamoto, he failed to present any real evidence. Frustrated journalists left the event with doubts about yet another false lead. Now, Bitcoin's creator remains one of the biggest mysteries in cryptocurrency. Many believe that Satoshi's anonymity is essential to the decentralized nature of Bitcoin, ensuring that no individual holds too much power over the currency. At the same time, others argue that the speculation around Nakamoto's identity distracts from the real impact of cryptocurrencies. As the value of Bitcoin grows, so does the curiosity around its elusive creator. But for now, the mystery remains unsolved. Now back to Apple. The company is scaling down on its Vision Pro headset displays in retail stores. I don't know if you've seen them, but they do take up a lot of room. Originally, Vision Pro had its own dedicated demo areas in some stores, quite a few actually, but with the arrival of M4 Mac models, Apple is consolidating these spaces to make room. Now, why is this happening? Well, it's not a surprise really. We've heard many reports indicating that Vision Pro sales have not matched Apple's expectations. In fact, last week there were reports of Vision Pro production being scaled back completely. Analysts have actually predicted that Apple will sell less than 500,000 units this year, which is a tiny amount for a brand new Apple launch. Despite these challenges, Apple is developing a new version of Vision Pro model, apparently with the M5 chip, which is expected to launch in 2025, and this will launch alongside a more affordable version just called the Vision. Hopefully the price will be less than $3,500 this time, and that way I might actually buy one. And finally, let's take a look at Apple's latest hardware launch, the M4 Mac Mini and M4 MacBook Pro, which both came out this week. And I would argue that this launch is quite possibly one of the most successful Apple launches in recent memory. But despite this, it was not without controversy. Let's start with pricing. While the base models on both devices were very competitively priced, especially when considering the performance of the M4 chip and the increase to 16 GB of unified memory from 8 GB at a base level, while the M4 Mac Mini starts at $599 US. The M4 Pro model upgrade is $1399, which is still relatively affordable, but more than twice the amount of the base model. RAM and especially storage increases are similarly extortionate, but to be fair, that's not something that is unprecedented for Apple devices. Apple sustainability claims around the M4 Mac Mini, which is marketed as the first carbon-neutral computer, have also drawn much criticism. While Apple emphasizes the use of recycled materials and renewable energy in the production of the computer, environmental advocates argue that the device's full lifecycle impact is not fully addressed. Critics also point out that Apple's closed repair ecosystem may lead to more waste, as users have more limited repair options. But my question is on the reliance on carbon credits, something that we all know is a little bit farcical and never truly reflects how much carbon is being either removed or prevented from entering the atmosphere. Adding to the controversies is the redesigned power button on the Mac Mini, and this is quite possibly my favorite of the controversies, which has been moved to the bottom of the computer, which is just hilarious, which means that you literally have to pick up the computer to turn it on. Admittedly though, it is a tiny computer, so it's not too difficult to do. While this has baffled a lot of people, as I'm sure Apple could have easily just relocated the button to the front, MKBHD has a brilliant conspiracy theory suggesting that every Apple product needs a little bit of trivial controversy to create media interest. Like the charging port on the bottom of the Magic Mouse, it's a design decision that doesn't prevent anyone from purchasing the product, but is just odd enough to grab the media's attention, as it has done so in this case. And that draws us to the close of this week's Tech Rundown. If you would like to watch me or listen to me discuss these stories with other people, I will be talking about them every Saturday at 6:30 AM GMT on Talk. I have linked their YouTube channel in the description, or you can tune into Talk Radio as well. You can also see me on the Talk app or on your digital TV in the UK. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like and subscribe, comment down below your thoughts on any of the stories, and until next week, toodaloo.